Hello everyone, so welcome to today's video. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm getting myself ready and I'm playing around with a combination of primers and some glowy products, a go-to foundation that never fails me because lately my skin has been really dry, tight, flaky. It's just not wanting to cooperate. I think it's just running the heat inside the house a little more than usual. We've been in some really cold, brutal temperatures, single digits in the negatives, and it just has not been well. And my skin, like on my body, is also dry and tight feeling. So when I did a video a few days ago to post and get it edited and ready to go, I could see how my skin just was not looking very good. And it looked so bad that I just decided to scratch that and not even waste my time editing or posting because it looked really bad. And I was shocked because I knew my skin felt dry and tight, but I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. And I thought it was the Revlon serum tint that I recently used in a drugstore fail video that I posted on Friday. I thought it was that, and now looking back, I think it was my skin. So I'm going to revisit the Revlon product and kind of report back and let you guys know how that ended up turning out. But today, I chose a go-to foundation that has been a love of mine since I discovered it last summer, and it's been a very well-loved product in the makeup community for decades. I'm using my Estée Lauder Double Wear, and that always looks perfect on my skin, no matter what my skin is going through. And so I'm going to try that out today and kind of talk you through my routine and show you my routine that I talked about on Instagram as well for a quick everyday kind of getting ready type of look, because it ended up looking really pretty and everything just came together so easily and it was done pretty quickly. So the video is going to be longer because I'm talking you through my steps, but if I weren't explaining things, I could get this done in probably 10 minutes, 15 at the most. So I hope you will enjoy it, and if you want to see how I did the look, then just continue watching. So I have done a lot of extra hydration today, and I want to see if this is a problem with my skin, if it's the moisturizer. So I loaded up on my moisturizer this morning. I mixed two different moisturizers. I am using the Naturium Multi-Peptide Moisturizer, and then I mixed into that the new Magic Water Cream from Charlotte Tilbury, and I did a little concoction on the back of my hand, mixed the two together, applied it, used my normal serums and my Colleen Rothschild eye cream. So we're gonna see how these products sort of go on top of that and see if it's really my skin or if there's just something not going well with the foundation mixes. So that's what we're doing today. So I gotta start with the primer step, and I want to try a little bit of the Hourglass Airbrush Vanish Primer mixed with a little bit of my Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This has been one of my absolute favorite products from the line, and as you can see, it's very well loved. Most of the writing is rubbed off. I wear the shade One Fair. So on the cap, I have a little bit of this sample from Hourglass, the Vanish Primer, and it comes with like a little like paddle style. So I just kind of scrape it onto my makeup palette, but it's currently dirty. So we're gonna use the lid of this, and this Flawless Filter gives a pretty glow to the skin. So it kind of adds a little bit of coverage. So I'm gonna kind of scale back foundation and see how that looks and how that blends with the current state. So hopefully the extra moisturizer is doing me some good. Okay, so I'm blending the primer. I'm starting off with the Hourglass primer, and I'm using the Hourglass Ambient Foundation brush to blend this in. And I'm gonna use that primer in the center of my face so that it kind of helps with blurring, and we'll just kind of see how this looks. And then I do have the Flawless Filter from Charlotte on the back of my hand, so I'm going to use my foundation brush to apply that and see how this goes. I'm going to go in with just a little bit more of the Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I'm just going to apply this all over. This is a nice, pretty product for underneath foundation or even as a highlighter in place of foundation. I've mixed it into my foundation as well to kind of give it more of a glow, and it just makes the skin look pretty and glowy and dewy. But when you look at the skin, there isn't a lot of shimmer particles. It's not glittery. It's not overly frosty looking on the skin. It's really flattering and super, super beautiful. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of the foundation from Estee Lauder right over the top. And I'm going to blend this in very lightly. And I'm going to use just about the normal amount. Since it doesn't have a pump, I usually just put my finger and kind of tip it over, and whatever I get, that's pretty much enough for my face to give me a nice even coverage. Then I always like to go in with my damp beauty sponge and just kind of press everything in, just to ensure that everything is really well blended. And so far this is looking so much better. A huge night and day difference from where my skin was a few days ago to now. And I'm really happy that my double wear is not letting me down. So that is a true testament that this works even when you have dry skin. It still looks incredibly beautiful. So this has been one of my absolute favorite discoveries from last year. My concealer today is going to be the Tower 28 Serum Concealer. I wear the shade BU, and this is a really pretty formula that gives coverage, hydration, and it just really makes the under eye area look flawless. And I was so surprised when I tried it for the first time because generally serum concealers tend to be really hydrating. And sometimes, depending on the formula, it can be hard to set. I always set my under eye. And it's also one that you can build up and do little dots wherever you need a bit more coverage. So for me, that's right in through here. And it layers up pretty well. And it retains that coverage with the sponge, but it does look like more coverage if I use a brush to blend this out. Then to set, I'm going to use my Haus Labs Translucent Setting Powder. Same sponge, and I'm just going to press that right over the concealer to keep it from creasing. And I decided to go in with my Haus Labs Velvet Bronzer. I wear the shade Light Level 2. And I'm going to use the Sephora Pro 59 powder brush, which I think is actually a great brush for bronzer. I actually did a video recently of a full face, almost a full face of Haus Labs. So I used the foundation, the concealer, bronzer, blush, highlighter, used their eyeshadow palettes that they came out with last year for the holiday season. They released the palettes. They seem to still be available, but I had gotten mine when they were on sale at Sephora. Now they're back to their regular, I think $49 price point. So I did a video on that. So if you have not seen that, I will link it in the card section above this video. We'll take you to that one so you can kind of see what my thoughts were using their first pressed eyeshadow formula. And so part of my routine for a quick and easy complexion is to take my brush that I'm using for bronzer and also for the blush, and I'll show you that in a moment, and I just sweep it over my lids just to give me a little bit of color, and then I just kind of connect it into the bronzer through the temples, and it helps cut down having to do a full eyeshadow look because I do have a little bit of color and a little bit of something going on already there. So from here I need to do my eyebrows, and I'm gonna do the routine off camera because it does take me some time, but I will show you what I will use today. The Lawless pencil, the teddy bear shade, is perfect. This is the Shape Up Soft Fill Brow Pencil. And then I always use the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen in the shade Brunette to kind of fill in any little gaps, little sparse areas that I don't have hair. I have some bald spots and some thin areas to the brow, so I use that to sort of give me a hair-like effect in those areas. And then I've been setting my brows with the Rare Beauty laminating gel, and it actually is really good. So I can see why people really love this and why there's, you know, such a big wait list for it when it's out of stock. But I'm going to start with the pencil, and I'm going to do the majority of my brow with the pencil and then just little spots with the Lift and Snatch from NYX. Brows are done, filled, and set. I also went ahead and applied my MAC Painterly Paint Pot and a little bit of translucent powder from Haus Labs over the top of that. And then I took whatever was left on my brush from my bronzer and just kind of did a quick sweep right through the actual crease area with the same brush. No need to dirty any more additional brushes for this. For blush, I'm going to go into my duo from Give Beauty. This is the Ex-Girlfriend shade in the Feeling Cheeky blush duo. So you get two shades. One is matte and one has a bit of a satin kind of sheen and shimmer to it. I'm going to go in with the bottom one, which is a little bit more of like a magenta with a touch of like a pinky purple type of shade. This one is a little bit lighter and more of like a bright light pink. So I'm going to start with the bottom shade, and I'm going to use my IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe brush, and I'm going to start by tapping this on the tops of the cheekbone and kind of higher up just to create more of a lift with the face. And I'm just kind of tapping because this shade is very pigmented and can be quite intense and bold against my fair skin. So I tap off the excess on a paper towel or any kind of napkin or anything just to kind of get any excess off because it is quite pigmented. And that tapping motion is going to help sort of apply it but help diffuse it at the same time, the edges. And then I go over the nose a little bit with it. And from here, I will take my damp sponge that I use. I always come back to this, and I just sort of tap this out and continue to blend, and mostly focusing on softening the edges of this color because it is quite intense and it's a nice bright pretty pink shade. And once I have that blended, I will wipe my brush off really well and then just kind of go with that W motion across the face just to get almost like a sunburnt kind of look. I do like the way that looks, and I think it looks really pretty and flattering, so I keep doing it even though we're in winter. Then I take that same brush with the same blush and I just go right over the crease area just to add a little bit of color. And again, that goes back to kind of cutting down on extra steps to sort of streamline this process of getting ready pretty quickly. So from here, I wouldn't have to do much with my eyes in order to get it to look like a full look, because I'm using a little bit of blush and bronzer. And I want to use a few new products as well in this video, because the last one that I filmed, it didn't turn out well because of the complexion not looking so great. So I'm kind of pulling pieces that I used in that video and plugging it into today's video. And the highlighter that I used was the new ones from the Sephora collection. These are the colorful Luminizers, and I couldn't decide on which shade, so I just picked up both. Rose Quartz, which is the more icy pink, and then the Iced Pearl, which is a bit more of a kind of golden champagne shade. And here is a close-up of the two highlighters. So this is Iced Pearl. As you can see, it's a little bit more golden compared to this one here. It's the Rose Quartz. And in the last video, what I did was one on each side, so you can kind of see what it looks like, and then I mixed the two to kind of even everything out. So I'm going to do the same thing today. And I'm going to just use let's use this brush here. This is a Real Techniques Brightening Concealer Brush. It's the 242 brush, and I actually think it's really nice to use with these sort of gelée formulas. So the first one that I'm going to start with is Ice Pearl, and I'm going to do that on this side so you can kind of see what that looks like. And I'm just going to kind of pick it up with this brush. And I just like to tap. This formula is very light, so it doesn't add a lot of intense glow. It's just more of like a kind of candlelit, more ethereal, soft sheen, which is nice. And so if you like highlight but you don't want it to be too intense, you may actually like this formula. I'm going to wipe off my brush really well, and I'm going to go into the more pink shade, which is the Rose Quartz. And I'm going to use same brush, and I'm going to do that on my right side. And I think this Rose Quartz goes really nice with the tone of pink for the blush today. And it's kind of hard for me to decide. Honestly, I don't really feel like there's a huge difference between the two. And I think it just goes back to the formula being a bit more softer and just more light and thin, and not as blinding as a typical powder highlighter, because these do have a kind of creamy feel and they don't kind of give too much glow and pigment. And I'm also going to take some right through the brow bone as well, same brush. This is the Longwear Kajal liner in the soft slate kohl pencil. These are kind of like jumbo crayons. I have the soft black that I use for tight lining, and I picked these up a couple of months ago. The range has been expanded to a few new colors, so I picked up several shades. This one here is the soft slate, so it gives a little bit of smokiness and some definition, and it's a little bit more of like a taupey gray type of shade. Do you see that? Very pretty, just a little bit of something, but it's not as intense as a black eyeliner or a really rich brown, like dark brown eyeliner, but there is that definition, and it highlights, and it has a bit of a kind of sheen to it. It's not super metallic and shimmery, but it's not matte, so it gives a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of something different to the eye, which I think adds to that element of making the eyes look more complete than just throwing on mascara at this point and a quick lip for the day. It kind of adds a little bit more and elevates that very basic no makeup look, and it takes it up a step. So I'm going to show you that today. I'm going to take that liner and I'm going to draw this on, and I'm going to do a pretty thick line because I'm going to smudge it. And this is like easy liner. Honestly, it's just, they're so creamy and so easy to use. There's no pulling, there's no tugging. Then I take a angled liner brush and I'm going to soften the edge and just blend this out a little bit more. And I do one eye at a time because this is a Longwear formula, so it is meant to stay on. And that's why the soft black is perfect for tight lining, because it doesn't transfer to the lower lashes or the lower waterline. And I also took the same pencil and I used it on my lower lash line. And I did a pretty thick line because I am going to smudge it again, but I am getting it right into the actual root of the lower lashes to give myself a little bit of a kind of smoky eye. Okay, so here's the one eye done, top and bottom. And of course we have to do the mascara and then that last little final touch in the crease. But there is a difference. There's a smokiness, there's some definition to the eye, but it's not intense and it's not overly dramatic. And it literally just takes a minute to do this whole thing, top and bottom. I'm gonna do the other eye. Next, I'm gonna tight line with the soft black shade. And then I'm adding some of my L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara. I'm gonna do 2 coats. And I'm also gonna use the same mascara for my lower lash line. So the final thing for the eyes was a very last minute addition to the look when I was talking on Instagram about it, and I ended up using my Dreamy Dozen palette because it was already on my vanity. It was one of my everyday kind of go-to palettes, and I decided to add a little bit of definition to the crease, just a little bit more. And I started off with these 2 shades here, this light, kind of like a buttercream shade, and then this tan right next door to it. And I just went back and forth and tapped off the excess, patted it onto my paper towel, and then I just lightly added it into the crease area. Now, normally I would do this beforehand because I don't want to run the risk of ruining my mascara. So I do tilt my head back and I apply it. And I then added a little bit of coolness because of the slate color of the liner. I did feel like a cool toned crease color would be ideal. So I ended up going to this bottom shade right here. So it's the bottom row of the palette and you have a really pretty, just cool tone gray that's perfect for this step. There's a little bit of brown in it, but it's mostly like a grayish brown. Same brush, I didn't use anything special here. Tap off the excess. And then I added a little bit of that into my crease and blended that into the first 2 shades. And hopefully you can see a difference between this eye here after blending a little bit more, not adding a ton of product, and it's just a hint of color. So it's not gonna be a very intense, very dramatic crease color. It's not gonna be a very intense look on the eye. It's just a little bit of a shadowed effect that I was going for because I felt like sometimes, for me personally, just liner and lashes, I feel like I'm missing something in the crease. So I wanted that little bit more of definition. And so I did this routine with these shadows after the mascara, and I felt like it really did sort of, in a way, pull the whole look together. So I'm gonna just show you exactly what I did that day because it ended up turning out really nicely. So this is the one eye with that kind of cooler tone in the crease, and then this is the eye that just has that light brown. Hopefully the camera picks up the difference. I'm gonna do the other eye with that cool tone color. And there you have it. So easy and simple to do, and I feel like that one little detail really does make all the difference. I feel like it's a much more cohesive and well-rounded look than just liner and mascara, or just skipping liner and doing mascara. I do feel like sometimes the eyes need a little bit more, and I really like how it ended up turning out, and it's looking pretty much identical to the Instagram video that I did. So now I am going to show you some of the new Makeup by Mario lipsticks. This is one of the products that I featured in the video that I'm not going to post because, again, my complexion base routine was pretty bad in that video. This is much better, a whole ton of improvement since that. So the only thing I have on my lips is the Naturium Phyto Lip Balm. This is the Hibiscus shade, which gives me a bit of a cool kind of pinky tone to the lip. So I wanted to show you how these look. I picked up 2 shades, the Bronx Baby and South Shore. So the South Shore is the lighter of the 2, and I will swatch it for you. So it's a little bit on the lighter side, it's still kind of a nude shade here. And then I also ordered the shade called Bronx Baby, and I like the packaging, by the way. It's got that magnetic closure, which is so satisfying. So Bronx Baby is a little bit deeper and a little bit more intense against my fair skin. You can see the 2 shades there. It does pull a little bit more of a deeper nude on me with a hint more brown. I thought it was going to be a little bit more pink. This one has more of like a kind of peachy pink undertone to it, which is South Shore. And then the Bronx Baby is a little bit of a deeper nude. I'm gonna go right over my lip balm, no lip liner, so you can see. That is the Bronx Baby, and I will do South Shore on my top lip, which is exactly how I did in that last video, so you guys can see it. And then the top lip is the South Shore. So I do think that they look pretty. They look a little bit deeper when I swatch them, but once I apply it after doing a full face of makeup, I do end up liking the way it looks. So I'm gonna just mix the two together so that I don't look crazy, because my kids would be like, what's wrong with your mouth? So I'm gonna just do a little bit of Bronx over the top. And so there's the two shades combined together. I do like the way that looks. I also really like the formula. It's a really nice cream finish. It's a typical satin formula that feels a little bit more luxurious. It's not matte and drying, and it just kind of glides over the lips really nice. So you can feel it on your lips. It's a little bit of a thicker formula, but I like the creaminess, how easy it is to apply, and the level of pigment that you get off with these lipsticks. It's not very sheer. They're full on pigment, and I do like that. And I feel like I did a couple of swipes so you can really see the true color, but generally I think going forward, I just need to do one pass because they have so much pigment that you don't really need to go over it over and over again. So really nice formula. I've enjoyed these very much. So the last thing that I want to do is add a little bit of kind of like a pink tone to the lip. I feel like this is just slightly a bit more warm, and I want something a little bit more pink, a little bit cooler to go with the pink cheeks and to go with that cool tone Slate eyeliner, which by the way, I tried wiping it off and it will not come off. So once these eyeliners set, they do stay in place. So instead of taking all of this off, because I do like the formula and the colors from these lipsticks, I'm gonna just add a little bit of the NYX Fat Oil in the shade Supermodel, which is a really nice pink with a bit of a sheen to it. These oils are more translucent, but this one does have some pigment, and I will swatch it for you so you can kind of see. There is a good amount of pink tone from that, so I feel like it's going to definitely add a little bit more of the pink tone that I was wanting for today's look. And it also kind of matches my shirt too, which by the way, these are from Target. I think the brand is A New Day, and it's like $8, and they're so soft and just easy basic tees. And we are complete. This is the full face today. So let me know what you think in the comments of today's look. And I'm glad that things are looking better. Now, I know that my complexion is not perfect at this moment. It's still kind of dry and a little bit around the nose, but it's not as bad. I mean, the difference between today and where I've been for the last couple of days is night and day. So I'll take it today, okay? This is much of an improvement. So those extra layers of hydration, mixing all of my moisturizers together to just create a thick layer of moisture on my skin in the morning after applying serums is working. So I'm going to continue doing that for the next couple of days and then sort of ease back into my normal routine. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will list and link everything down below. I will also list and link the moisturizers that I'm using because I do feel like those really made a big difference today in the way my skin is looking and how the foundation applied. And as always, everything will be listed in the order that they're used in the video for you in the description box. So expand that so you can get the shopping list there as well. And you can also follow me on Instagram. We can be friends there. Subscribe for more videos. And thank you so much for being here, for watching. I hope you're doing well. Take care, you guys, and I will catch you very soon. Bye-bye.